This is Danny with QuadLugs, and we're installing the motors. On this build we're using the Sunny Sky 2204 2300 kV motors. And here we're using an X mount as we normally do on our builds, and we're going to get it installed. If you notice, there's a flat side and there's a bevel on one side. The bevel is going to be facing away from the motor. And the reason for that is because the screws are beveled. And when they're installed, they'll be flush. If you put them in this way, the screw would be proud of the X mount and it wouldn't fit right. So you want it just like that. If you'll notice, there's two screws that are further away than the others, and so just line them up to where they match, and we'll put the screws in. If you have Loctite, this would be a pretty good time to put it on. I don't normally put Loctite on. It's probably not the smartest thing to do. But with our mounts, the way they fit on, the screws don't normally back out. But putting it on is a good thing. Okay, we have that finished. You'll have a few extra screws. Keep them. They'll come in very handy. Now we're ready to install the motors. And if you'll notice, this shaft, if you put your straight edge across the X mount, you'll see that the shaft is standing proud. In other words, it's sticking out a little bit. So when you install the motor on this motor mount, if this shaft is proud of the X mount, it'll rub. And if it rubs, the motor won't turn freely, and you could have a problem with it. Now, I've noticed this on these particular motors only. So if you do have this happen, because I'm getting some of them that are a little bit thicker, which there's no problem at all at that time, and I'm getting some of them that are a little bit thinner, which the shaft will be proud of the X mount. So an easy way for you to check is just put your straight edge like this, and if you have the thicker one, you know, it's not going to interfere with the shaft. If you have the thinner one, it will. So here's the remedy for that. So you want to put your straight edge on the motor mount and get the center of these holes. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to be close. Then you mark it this way, and it's going to give you where to drill. Using a 3/8 bit, and you can take these off if you want to. Just unscrew it, take it off and set it down and drill it that way, or if you want to drill it this way, just no hands underneath. So just go ahead and put your bit on the mark you made, and you don't have to drill it all the way through, just drill it a little bit to give you a divot there. And I'm not pressing hardly any. And you'll notice you have a divot there. And that's going to let the shaft turn free in that area. I've already done the others. So when you put it on, or when you install it, the motor, we'll put the zip ties on loosely. That's the best way to do this. It makes it a little bit easier to install. So once you have them all loosely installed, just go ahead and start tightening them up. You can use needle nose pliers, you know, to tighten up the zip ties. I normally just do this, just pull them across from each other. And it does a really good job. And you'll notice it turns very freely. If you drill your divot and this still doesn't turn very free, then you might have to drill it a little bit deeper. But it doesn't take much at all. Because again, if you noticed on the motor, it's not much at all. It's maybe a millimeter, maybe. So if you notice this, good thing to double check. If you notice this, just mark your center point, drill with a 3/8 bit, make you a divot, and you're ready to go. Using the wire cutters, we'll cut them off. And I normally cut them flush, just so it won't stick you or maybe even cut you. So I just, cut them flush so it's nice to handle. And after the build is complete, the wires are going to look like this, and they'll go inside the box and be connected up to the ESC. So we're going to go ahead and get the rest of these put on, and we're ready now to do the ESC and the flight controller. We'll see you then.